Welcome. In this video, we're going to do a navigation around the Fresh Connection simulation so you can find your way around. So when you came in the first time, this is the screen that you saw. And what we're going to look at is the blue column on the left, the orange column to the right of it, and then we're going to work our way across the top here into the different roles. What you're seeing on the screen right now is your company and its key performance indicators that you're seeing in the middle of the screen here. As you go down the left and we click on the inbox here, this is going to be messages from the simulation for you in your role that relate to your role. And so this will be emails that you'll want to read, consider, and share them with your teammates, and they'll share you theirs from their role as well. Below that, we have rankings. And so after each round, you'll be able to see how you're ranking on the left as your team compared to the others, as well as how you did in each of your roles to the right. We also have a information button here. So what this does is this takes you to information about the product on top, and you can download the bill of material, logistical information. Below that, you'll notice, in the upper right, for example, in the Freshly Orange 1 liter, the base sales price is 45 cents per bottle for Freshly Orange 1 liter. Then we have information on the components below that, as well as what goes into the drums, the IBCs, pallets per full truckload. And then because I have the carbon footprint open, additional information on carbon footprint, but you won't necessarily have those part. You will have the top four for sure. Continuing down then, the info center. This is where everything that you need to know about the game is in here. Everything is hyperlinked. You can follow my cursors and see that. In the upper right is a literal pattern search, so I could type in supply chain, and you'll see everywhere that supply chain shows up, but we'll show you an easier way to look around. Below that, you have the finance screen, and this will be an income statement of in the current round in the middle, previous round to the right, the delta or the difference to the right of that. And so if you look at this, this is saying revenue minus cost of goods sold will give you gross margin. We take out the indirect to give you profit, and then profit divided by investment is going to give you the ROI you see on top. However, you see to the left, these little plus buttons, click on those and we open up some more detail. So this is the revenue, sales revenue, and then bonuses. So there's bonuses if you're late. If we click again, here's the breakdown of the 3 customers. And if I want to shrink it back up, then I hit the minus button and it shrinks back up. So the plus and the minus allows you to expand the screen. Okay, so if I expand the gross margin, I can see the cost of goods sold here, and I can expand that out into labor and material. I can keep expanding out. Here's the indirect cost below that. I can break out the stock cost below that, and that's where I can see things like overhead as an example, or cost of scrap. So wherever there's a plus, then or a minus, I can open it up. At the same time, if you notice where my cursor's at, I'm going to go to the left of administration costs. You see this little eye in the circle here. So you'll hear me often talk about, have you poked the eye? And that's information, and that gets you directly into the info center quickly. So you get a quick description, and then you see the more button. Click on more, and this takes you right into the info center. And you'll see administration costs right here. So it's a much quicker way to get around the info center. But you'll notice also there is data in here that you're going to want to use in the simulation. So wherever you can, please poke the eye in the process here. Okay? So that gets us, let me take you back to the finance here, and that's what you've got here. Now down below it, if there are additional things you are playing like CO2 or later rounds where we open up this production interval tool, they'll show up here also. Those will be things that you will learn about as you play your simulations. If you ever get lost, come up to the upper left corner, click on My Company, and that'll take you right back to the beginning. Second column, round in orange. Where you see it highlighted in white, that is your current round, and you'll see the red dot to the left of it. We are in round one. If I try to hit round two, because we're not there, nothing shows up, it's grayed out. But if you notice and I go up to round zero, then that highlights and I can click on it. I am in round one because that's what's highlighted. But if I want to get to the reports for each role, I would click on the round before that. So if we were in fact playing round two would be highlighted and I would see the red dot, but then I would also be able to hover over 1 and 0 to see the reports for rounds 1 and the beginning at round 0. So let's go look at the reports first. Click on 0, and you'll be able to click across each row on top. So this is purchasing, ops, sales, and supply chain. You will not have the calculate button on the right. That'll be held by your professor. But if I click on purchasing, because I'm in round 0, I get the dashboard, but also supplier and component report. Same thing for operations. I get the warehouse mixing and bottling report. Sales, I get all these reports. And supply chain, I get all these reports. Now, if you noticed, I left off the analysis and the decision log in each one. Those are the same in every role, so I'm going to show you that while we're here. Decision log, if you click on it, this is showing you your decisions for the current round that you are in. So after for each round then, you can see what your decisions were and then compare two rounds to see what changed, and that would be your decisions. The analysis, if I click on that, this gives you the chance to do querying. So if you it's like a simple SQL query. So let's say down the point of view, I want to look at the customers. And I want to see for the last 3 rounds. Now, even though there is no round -2, let's say there was a round there. So put in your range of rounds. I would leave the output to the screen unless you wanted to send it to an Excel file. But I want to see the service level, and I'm going to hold down my control key. And I want to see service level by orders, and I want to see order lines per week. And then I execute the query by pressing that, and I see on the screen for what I chose, service level pieces, orders, and order lines by customer, here's what my service levels were and my order lines. So this gives me a chance to get into some more detail on how I performed across rounds. Now one other, I'm going to go back to select query again. If you go up to the point of view and go all the way down to the bottom, export all data to Excel, the screen shrinks up and says just what range of rounds do you want. Click execute the query, and it'll just take a moment here. But you'll see in my screen now it's got a download to an Excel file. I'll open it up here. Okay. And what you're going to get when this opens up in Excel is a download of every report for the range of rounds that you selected within the simulation. So when it opens up, I want to look down at the bottom for the tabs, and each tab is a report, different report, for the range of rounds for that area that we tackled there. So this is a great way to download and then be able to move things over to an Excel file if in fact you wanted to be able to do some data modeling. Okay, so let's come back up here. So that's the reports for 0. You notice I'm in round 0 because it's highlighted and the red dots there. But now I want to go back and make decisions. So I click on round 1 because I'm in round 1. I see that right up on top here. Current round is 1. I can verify it by looking right here, red dots in 1. And then now I can click through the roles. So let's start at sales and work back through the supply chain. So here are the different decisions. This is my current agreement. So with food and groceries, if I read this, it's saying we have promised food and groceries 95% on time based on order lines, 75% shelf life. They have to have orders in by 8 p.m. They are buying by the pallet layer. They have agreed to pay us in 4 weeks. Carbon footprint, we're not going to have. That's for something different. But middle promotional pressure, like a weekly grocery ad, short promotion horizon means they don't have to give us a lot of notice, and there's no vendor managed inventory. Based on that, they came back with a contract index that said, well, we're willing to pay 0.9385 times that 45 cents that we saw earlier. So as you make better promises, think of this contract index as a multiplier. As you make more favorable promises to the customer, the contract index will go up. The customer is willing to pay more of the base price. So if I take 45 cents on my calculator, multiply by 0.9385, the customer's saying, 0.45 times 0.9385, customer's saying, I'm willing to pay 42.5 cents per bottle. And that's the pricing I work with. Now, if I want to, and I've got the same thing for Land Market and for Dominick's. Now, if I see this little light bulb next to food and groceries and poke that, this will give me information about food and groceries and what's important to them. If I want to negotiate, if I want to renegotiate, I click negotiate. And for my round, these are the things that I can change. So let's say we promise the customer 98 cents, 98% on time. We hit this calculate, and we can calculate and recalculate this one as many times as we want, as long as we get all our decisions in by the deadline set by your professor, and then it'll grab the last decision and go with it. So it comes back. You see the food and grocery says, well, I like that promise. I'm willing to pay 1.0445 times the 45 cents a bottle, which works out to 47 cents a bottle. They're willing to pay 2 cents extra a bottle because they like the promise. If you like it, you hit deal. And then there it is up on the top, 98%. If all of a sudden you realize, oh, I made a mistake, just hit negotiate again, replay it, recalculate it, and just keep doing it until as a team you agree what you want. Okay? Now, let me mention this too while I'm here and thinking about it. In this simulation, this is not a situation where you change one variable and see how the income statement changes. You will make all your decisions for the round, which is the time frame your professor gives you, that when they want decisions in by, your professor calculates, and then you'll see the results. And you'll see if the marketplace likes it. Okay, so order management, if you have it, each one of these tabs on top is a different set of decisions. This is the shortage rule. How do I want to handle back orders if they're there? Category management will have the ability to add or drop products. And then forecasting allows you to change the forecasting in increments of 5%, if that's what you choose to do. And then finally, key KPIs, key performance indicators, you have the opportunity, you have to stay with ROI, but you'll have the opportunities to change the other three that are on your dashboard. Okay, if I go over to supply chain now, this is for my components. You'll see I'm in the component tab in the left. So I can reset my safety stocks and lot sizes if they're open for the round just by clicking on edit, making the change and hitting save. Production is your frozen periods. Frozen periods means no schedule changes allowed, in this case for 3 weeks. Product, if it's available to me yet. The safety stocks on the right side, and the production interval. A 10 means I'm making up to 10 days worth every 10 days. So it's like a lot size. And then, of course, key performance indicators if I want to change those for my dashboard. If I go to operations, I've got decisions on the inbound warehouse. That's where I'm at. So in my case here, whether I have inspection or not, and I can size the warehouse and how many people I have in the warehouse. And again, this all changes based on the setup your professor gives you, will change what decisions are available in what rounds. Mixing, when I click on that, in my case, I can select a new mixer, I can add a second mixer, If I add a second mixer, then I have to decide down below which products will be mixed on which mixer. I have a bottling line, and I'll have the opportunity to do maintenance or breakdown training. Again, depends on decisions available, as well as down below how many shifts. And again, I can poke the little light bulb here and learn more about the bottler itself and the mixer if I wanted to go back to that and be able to do some more fine detailed work. And like below, I can add or change the bottler. If I add a second bottler, I have to decide what's going to be created or bottled on each line. So finally, outbound warehouse on top. You'll be able to make decisions about how many pallet spots and how many people in the warehouse. And then again, of course, key performance indicators. I can change 3 of the 4 KPIs I have. Purchasing, if I go over there, very similar to sales in that I negotiate. I can poke the eye. So here's my pack 1 liter. I'm buying from Mono Packaging. I'll click on that and it says, well, here's where they are. They're in France. Okay, 15-day lead time. Information about that supplier. This is my current decisions, and I would go over to the info center to see what my base price is. And in this case, Mono is saying, well, we're willing to give you a little bit of a discount off of that base price because we like the promises. And then you can come down to negotiate and make the changes. So let's say we've agreed to full truckloads, FTL. I hit calculate, watch the contract index on top. It goes down a little bit because the supplier is saying, cool, if you'll buy full semis, full truckloads, easier material handling, I'll give you a discount. If you like it, you hit deal, like sales, and you can change your mind later too. So I'm going to hit cancel. Now, in my version here, I have a supplier market. You probably won't at the beginning, but this is your chance to be able to change suppliers. So, 2 ways of going about it. You can terminate the supplier here, and you'll get a message, are you sure you want to do it? And if you say okay, then you're going to get a message up on top, no supplier. You better get over to the supplier market and pick a new one. So you pick your component, pack in my case. Here's all my choices for suppliers that I can pick from. I'm just going to pick the other one, negotiate with them, the same one we had before, hit the deal. And then now when I go back to the agreements, here they are. So if you terminate here, you have to get into the supplier market and do it. However, if you go over to the supplier market and start there, let's say pack again, and you pick, let's say BritPack, you negotiate with them. Let's say you like the decisions, you click deal, and BritPack's in there. So if you come in through the supplier market will kick out the old one for you and bring in the new. No chance that you will get caught without having a supplier. So it's a lot safer to go in through the supplier market when it's available and do your changes. Okay? So I think looking at everything, that should take care of what we have here. We still have the KPIs on the right side that you can change. And again, like I said, if you get in trouble, come up to the upper left, click on the My Company button, and the My Company button gets you back to the beginning here. And that should do the trick for us.